weird and awkward.
Color looks fun to hold. Ooh, I love the orange
It matches
one.
my car.
You should. Yeah. Orange is fun. Purple is always the fun one, though. Like, everybody, when they say fun, they grab the purple one. I don't know. Maybe it's the whole Star Wars.
I'm going with the yellow one that matches the Cardis. So
I just like bright colors. I don't.
I just want orange.
It's
That's
just
the whole
pretty.
reason. So you guys are like official, would you say vendors? Or would you say exhibitors?
I guess I'm an exhibitor. That's what my badge says. And then we're panelers.
Panelists.
Panelists. Yeah. Why could I not conjugate that word properly?
Words
we're
are hard.
panelists. We panel.
Paneli? Is it the post tense?
Panini.
That sounds actually kind of good right now.
Right?
I
It's like
kinda-
right about lunchtime. And I'm like, food. You know what is awesome? Food.
Really? Yeah. I'm really digging the food. How are you feeling, Tony?
I'm feeling good.
How did you feel yesterday?
I felt the opposite of good.
What did you have? Or do you still have?
No, I don't have anything anymore after.
I just want to get this on
gargling-
record, so in case I start
Right?
projectile
Like,
vomiting tomorrow, I can be
when
like,
this
No, no.
podcast is used as the opening scene of the zombie movie, what are we going to call this disease before you take
was a
down
sore
the entire
throat.
world?
It was just a sore throat.
that's what
And
they
the prob-
say.
the
That's what they
problem-
all say until.
Until everyone who is here gets hantavirus, and you've got a lot of explaining to do.
I'm okay with this.
You'll be able to tell the Tony zombie from everybody else because he'll have the unique jacket. It's not even a jacket. It's
a vest.
It's a vest, but it's got like multi pockets. It's like a TARDIS vest because you can fit everything inside.
Well, I've got a tendency to say Batman has his utility belt. Batman has his utility vest.
Oh, but isn't that Kevin Smith?
That's
I
true.
was saying that
He's-
before Kevin Smith.
He's parked
Oh.
onto that
I
particular.
was hipster in that.
You called it out
aspect.
before anybody else called it out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
somebody just walked in. By the way, this is a very informal conversation that we're
Oh,
having.
yeah,
So,
that's-
so you guys are going to be talking about social media later on, right?
Yes.
that is correct.
Now, who can? Okay, for those that don't know, Tony is kind of well known for his blogging and his social media. Bree, more the artist.
Yeah,
And-
and I
and-
write for a few different places, and I talk about 90s music videos and how much I love breakfast foods on Twitter.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
That's-
it's like
it's a
Tevin
fine-tuned
Campbell
niche right
or
there.
waffles, one of those.
It's her brand.
that's okay.
She's cultivated that brand very well.
My brand is, hey, feed me.
Now, who thought about getting into podcasting? And I'm not saying this to bring it out and say that you're doing a podcast, and so am I. I'm actually really okay with there being multiple podcasts. I think it supports the genre, it supports what we're doing. But was it your idea, Tony? Or
Yeah, I started. I had enough people asking me to do it that I finally said, you know what, I gotta get
throw
this
up,
done.
and then I'm going to do it.
I
Yeah, look-
plugged in the microphone to the laptop, fired up Audacity, started talking for about 15 minutes. Then I realized I needed to do more than that. I asked if Bree had been writing for me on Wednesday Comics.
Because you did like the first 3 or 4 episodes
Yeah.
solo. And then the people demanded Bree.
The couple that I caught, the episode started pretty much with Bree talking about, hey, I wasn't here last week, and ratings plummeted. So you
didn't
have
say
to have
ratings
me
plummeted,
all the time.
But I was gone, and it was the week before the last independent show. And one of Tony's like friends came up to him and like they're standing in front of my table, and I see this guy point at me, and he says to Tony, "Never do an episode without her again." And I
Oh,
was
wow.
boom, deal with it.
Now
people
just
have-
add in the pay thing. Put in there that you have to pay
Now
her
just
as well.
slip him this contract. Tell him you wrote it and that you just think it'd be really cool.
Hey, IRS, pay attention. She earned $2.16.
I
last
thought it
month.
was $2.49. Are you
Oh,
taking a bit off the
$2.49?
top?
I know. I just remember 2 and odd change.
I don't know.
Wow, there's going to be a breakup of a brand new partnership.
Right?
This is going to
It's
be
gonna get
epic.
dark. We're gonna be on like Judge Million or something. Ooh, now I gotta pick. I gotta decide which of the judge shows I think will like work best for me because they all have their personal sort of like preferences and the things that bother them. I'm gonna have to do research, decide which judge show we're going on, and make sure I can get all the money.
I feel Judy. I feel I had to choose
She's so
one.
angry.
She's so angry, but she's like she could care less about everybody.
Yeah.
So she would be the most even playing field. That's not even a phrase, is it?
I
The
don't want
most
an even playing field. I want to
Problem
win.
is,
You
though,
want the-
they're all going to look at you and go, "You brought him here for 30-odd cents."
Oh no, I'm gonna sue for so much. I'm gonna sue for emotional damages over that 30 cents. It's like, you don't understand. I found this place that still sells penny candy, and I couldn't buy a bit of honey.
I had parking. I was short 25 cents, and because of that, I had to get a parking ticket, and then my car was towed
and impounded. And because my car was impounded, I lost my job. And because I lost my job, now I live on the street. Just like, yeah, I'll weave a freaking tale, man. It's
Yeah.
gonna be heartbreaking and epic.
Yeah, as long as
Fine,
you,
$3 it is.
now for me helping
Rounding.
you with that, I'm going to charge you $1.50. This is how this works. This is how this whole process
My
works.
legal consultation fee is only 10 cents, but 10%. But unfortunately, there is a $700 minimum. So, guess you should have asked for higher numbers.
Take a look at that contract that your buddy handed you. Tony got a new toy.
Yes.
What did you get, Tony?
You know, I can't remember it, so I'm going to pull it out, which is so exciting.
This is sounding
for
so
video.
messed up right now.
I know.
Like until you know where it's landing as
I
a
know.
listener, this must be like, what did this show become?
Let's describe this thing that you got with such vagueness that people are going to be like, wow, there's two different heads on it.
Well, and it's thick.
I know. Oh,
Okay.
oh my Lanta.
It's got a red spot.
There is a red.
Oh, God, this is.
Is there a power button?
It's very easy to turn on.
Oh, well then even better.
I'm not. I'm just.
You still want that $3?
I'm gonna
You
step
still
back
want
and
that
let y'all do what
$3?
y'all gonna do. I'm just gonna let this be what it's gonna be.
Just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. All right. For those minds that have wandered too far, Tony got himself, or he was given, a Tascam MP3 recorder to use for his podcasting. But he doesn't have any microphones.
It's the first step.
It is.
I'm getting used to carrying it around at this point. The next convention, I'll actually have the microphone wires, but not the mics. So I'll carry it around with the wires. So I'm used to carrying that. It's a gradual process.
But it's a step.
You'll hold the wires in people's faces and be like, "Imagine if you were speaking into this. Roughly, where would you hold it? I need to gauge lengths here. What if the wire were shorter, longer?
Gauge lengths after what we just did with that
Hey,
recorder.
I
you got to
saved
bring
that.
it back there again.
I saved it until we had established what the object in question was. I kept that just tucked away until we were ready
now
to be
we're
people
tucking.
yeah,
again.
now you're tucking it away into okay.
Lord
all
have
right.
mercy, y'all.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness, y'all. Oh my goodness.
I haven't seen her roll her eyes like this since I was dropping bad puns about a half dozen.
Oh, that was
Did
the
we
episode.
quit
Where'd
in
you
the middle of
drop-
that episode?
Yeah.
I forget what was like I feel like it was a Disney-based one, but I think I quit. I was like, nope, I'm leaving now. I'm done
We were
forever.
talking about how it was a whole new world.
Oh, I made a whole new world joke on Twitter last week. Mine was better than yours.
What was yours?
Oh, a friend of mine and I got to meet up. She and I both write for the same website, not this one, but another one. And we were talking about comics, and she tweeted out that it's always, fun when a Marvel girl and a DC girl get to sit and talk about their favorite comics to each other. And I said, it's like a whole new world, but we're both Aladdin.
Oh my goodness. Felt pretty good about that one, didn't you?
I was pretty pleased with myself.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. What are you guys excited about here at Midwest Toy Fest? Is it Midwest Toy Fest? Yeah,
Yeah,
Midwest
it's
Toy
been
Fest.
Yeah,
Toy
right.
Fest.
The cons are starting to like merge together in my brains.
We got Midwest going on right now. In a couple weeks, we got Indie PopCon. In another month after Indie PopCon, we've got, a couple weeks after Indie PopCon, we've got
Gen
In
Con.
Conjunction.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Gen Con a few weeks after that. After that, if you're into it, we got Indie Fur Fest.
Oh wow.
We got Kokomo Con coming up. We've got Indiana Toy and Comic Expo coming up. There's just...
Are you going to all of them?
Fur Fest does not encourage media to show up.
That's
Okay.
So
fair.
I will probably not be showing up to that. But I am planning on hitting just about everything else. In fact, I know we're hitting Indiana Toy and Comic because she's
I'm
going to be
tabling
vending
there.
over there.
Oh.
And I'm going to be helping do some promotion for them as well. So
Good. I know
But-
that we're going to Indie PopCon.
Oh, yeah.
But and that I feel that's going to be big. I
Yeah.
feel that one's going to be I don't know. There's just something about I'm just getting a weird that you get those feelings. You just get those weird feelings.
Yeah, that it seems like this is the one that people have decided is the one I'm doing this year.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the normal public, and when I say normal, I'm talking about those that might not have the massive passion and desire like we do to go to these and hang out and support and spend money and whatnot consistently at every single show. Is they have to pick that one.
Yeah.
They have to choose, all right, well, I play Magic, so I kind of have to go to Gen Con. Or I like comic books, I got to go to a comic book convention.
Even people who are big into it, though, like, it can be costly. So,
it can be ridiculously costly.
Yeah, and I think last year that basically, like both on, like, attendee and on vendor side, I think a lot of people were like, okay, so we can afford to do X amount of these, which ones are the right ones to do? And I think it made people really gun-shy. And I feel like, because, like, you don't want to go to something and then you don't have an audience that's going to support your work. You don't want to go to something as an attendee and then it's like, well, I committed to going to this, and then the people that they have aren't really the people whose like stuff I'm looking for. I feel like this year there seems to be a lot of buzz around PopCon. I feel like a lot of people have decided that no, we're going to make this a thing. We can do this.
Do you think it's because it's local and that's what's gaining the...
I think local helps, and I think the tack that they're taking on it, how they're going for the convergence instead of the convention. They want it to be a place for people to learn, for people to grow, things like that.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in YouTube, they're bringing in all the YouTubers. If you're interested in film, they're bringing in Asylum and Trauma people. They're just bringing, if you're interested in podcasting, I know you guys are going to be there. Crit Confirm's going to be there. Heck, we'll be wandering around. You can look for the Fez and
and the recorder with no microphone.
Yes. No. Remember, it'll be the recorder with the wires.
Oh, the wires. Yeah, he'll have
no
two wires
microphones.
spinning around like Whiplash from Iron Man 2. No, I agree. I think earlier this year when they had the big Indiana Comic Con and Wizard World battle, it was there was good attendance, but I still feel that people held off and said, no, we really, really liked Indie PopCon last year, and we're going to come back again. Now, last year, the Indiana Comic Con did great. I mean, they did phenomenal last year, if I remember correctly. I remember I was there on Saturday, and I was one of the lucky people that was early because they hit capacity.
And they couldn't let people in for a while.
Yeah.
I was in Lexington, Kentucky.
He was like, I don't even know. I don't remember what was happening.
Here's how much Indiana Geeking is into Indiana Comic Con. I go to Kentucky that weekend.
Fair enough. That's okay. Do you like the smaller conventions, or do you guys prefer the larger ones?
There's space for both, at least for what I do. I enjoy the smaller ones because I'm able to look around at things quicker, talk to friends. I don't feel as rushed as I do something like Gen Con, where I'm there for 4 days and I feel like I'm not seeing and experiencing everything.
Okay.
So I don't know how it is from the vendor table standpoint.
I like sometimes the really big cons can be fun because you'll get some of the like vendors that like you don't necessarily get access to normally. So like a few years ago I got to go to C2E2.
Okay.
And that was really fun. But I haven't been able to swing that again for the past couple of years because it's a whole trip to Chicago. But I also
Tony and him making you do everything.
No, this was before I even knew Tony.
Fine,
I went
3
with
and a
friends.
quarter.
Yes, I'm working on that for you.
But yeah, like I always, even before I was making comics, which I say like it's like, oh, way back in the day, it was like 2 years ago, I'm always a big fan of the Artist Alley. So if you've got to go to Alley, then I'm into the show. And so I like small press shows where it's like basically all the alley.
Okay.
Especially like those are always like the more sort of focus is put on that and the better people you can pull for that, the more into the show I am. That's always my gauge.
Okay. So smaller shows from the vendor point of view you like, but from the guest point of view, would you say smaller or would you say larger?
I almost never really pay attention to who the big celebrity guests are. Like I don't go to a lot of the like Q&A panels and stuff like that. It's just not the thing that like excites me most with cons. Like I know there are a lot of people who get like super into it and they're like on the list for photo ops as soon as that opens because they're like, oh no, this is happening. I'm getting that picture. But for me, like it's so not my priority that I mostly end up with the exception of small publishers who are doing the con, which that's usually going to be bigger cons that it's going to be worth it for like, even like Oni to come out here. I don't even know if they do that anymore if they come out this far. But for me, I end up scrolling the alley for names of people that I follow online. I'm like, ooh, this person and this person and this person. So sometimes that has to be bigger shows because if you're dealing with like an East Coast person, they're going to come out for like bigger shows because you've got to make back your table.
Sure.
But even for small, like there's some really good small press shows where you can, get introduced to a lot of cool new artists, and then you have a new person to follow online and a new comic to read.
Do you think that that's the only difference between a big show and I guess just for sake of argument, big show and small show. Big show, they have the big celebrities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, was that really the only separational difference? Like if Midwest Toy Fest had Will Wheaton, or Seth Green. Like Seth Green, it would fit. The Toy Fest theme.
Yeah.
Will Wheaton to a certain degree would probably fit because they've got a lot of games going on as well. Do you think that would make them be considered a larger, like they would be in competition with the Indie PopCon, Indiana Comic Cons, or do you feel that they would still have that small town or small con feel?
I think once you get like big celebrities added in, it fundamentally begins to change, like by necessity, the infrastructure of your show. Because like I think it's tough to have someone that big and have a show that operates in such a, I don't want to say casual, but you know what I mean? Like it's sort of like you automatically have to be sort of more rigidly structured just to keep things from getting insane. And then there's a lot of overhead to bringing someone in at that level and like paying whatever their quote is. And so that means ticket prices go up too. Like smaller shows also tend to be less of an undertaking to attend. You know what I mean? It's like it's a more affordable ticket. Like for smaller shows, a lot of the people that come are usually more local, as opposed to like, well, I'm going to sign up to get a chance to sign up, to get a chance to be in the lottery, to get a chance to think about having a Comic-Con ticket. And then I'm going to find out if I can get then I'm going to find out if I can get a hotel that's anywhere in the state of California. But if we stay in North Dakota, we can just drive it out. We'll be in line for Hall H all weekend anyway, And so like it's a whole different vibe. And what it is like the bigger the people you're inviting are, the more like structure you have to try and put in, and the more cost comes from that. And it makes it, like I said, more of an undertaking to go, which I think can be off-putting. You can, as an attendee, you can hit like every small show in your town over the course of the year, and you won't like hurt for it financially, and you'll get a chance to see a bunch of new stuff and try a bunch of new stuff. But like big cons, like the big huge Omnicons, you have to probably pick one or two, and it's like
Omnicon. I like that.
It's like your whole weekend, and you end the day like sore and exhausted, and you've been like shoved around all day by crowds if you go on a Saturday. And it's I think that like that experience sort of develops over the course of building and building and building and building.
Now, one thing that's interesting though is I remember back in the 90s hitting Starbase Indy a lot over on the east side of Indianapolis. And I mean, they weren't huge, but they would bring in current actors from Star Trek. I mean, I've seen Leonard Nimoy there. I have seen people that my brain has just forgotten.
Well, let's name everybody that's ever been in Star Trek. Let's start with William Shatner.
Rene Auberjonois has been there. I remember him because he and Robert Picardo, because he was walking around after the con one night, came to figure out what the heck Magic the Gathering was when a group of us were playing around a table actually about this size.
Robert Picardo, was he
the holographic doctor?
Oh, okay, yeah, that guy.
In Voyager, and he was also the head of security in Gremlins 2. He was in China Beach.
Oh,
I don't know what that last thing is.
He's been in a lot of stuff. But they would bring in fairly big names, and even as a high school student, I could afford the tickets for that show. And it was essentially the size of something like here at Midwest Toy Fest, just with a couple extra rooms where they were running videos, one room where we had a model maker somewhere in the area that did studio scale Star Trek ships.
Oh, wow.
Including a 5-foot space dock that if you looked in the doors, there was both an Excelsior and an Enterprise A parked inside the space dock. which gets Bree going, I still want to crash a starship into a planet. But
why?
It doesn't have to be into a planet.
Why would you want to crash a starship?
No, there's this game.
Like a full size.
It's called Artemis, and like
yeah.
So I want to. So we have friends who are like, oh, we should play this, and I want to
it's a
play,
team.
but only if
team,
we
right?
can work to crash, which works out fine because one of our friends who wants to play says that she enjoys it mostly if there's not like if she's playing with people where they're not like we gotta win this and they're like super like hardcore pressuring about it, if it can just be sort of for fun.
Sure.
And so I think that works out perfectly because what I want to do is crash the thing. Like I just in a blaze of Enterprise like Starfleet glory, just and it doesn't have to be a planet, Tony. Like those are often inhabited. An asteroid field is fine.
Well,
I think when we talked about this on the podcast, it was either a planet or a sun.
I mean, a sun would be better, but I mean, you got to time that, right? Like, there's heat issues. Your shielding's going to go down. But
if you have a warp factor, you should be able to pinpoint exactly
just
where
ramp it into that.
The thing is, if you miss the sun, then you slingshot around it and you go back in time. That's one thing you really got to watch out for.
I would take that. I would take that in a heartbeat. If I can't crash it, I would rather go back in time and be like, dude, I get to do this either again or I've tried it and it's not all it's cracked up to be. I'm done.
But then you have to find whales.
I feel like you said the back in time thing as if that preclude, like in the past, there were no crashes. Like, if we slingshot back in time, then we get to crash it into history. Like that episode of Doctor Who where Adric dies with the dinosaurs. Really?
Okay,
really?
So let me
Fine.
pose this question to you. If you could crash the Enterprise in any moment of history, Earth history, and doing so would not cause a weird ripple in time, you just get to crash it wherever you want to, where would you crash it? I know my answer.
Oh, it's very obvious. Whoever decided to bring the Country Bears attraction to the big screen, you find out where they were born, and that's where you crash the starship.
I mean, there's a lot of people throughout the history of this world who deserve to have a starship crashed into them. I can't just pick. And then, like, my inclination is that, okay, well, let's extrapolate the repercussions there. So, like, how does that reshape history? So I'd have to think about that a lot.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like I need to write an AU.
It doesn't negatively affect the ripple in time. It's not like if you step on a caterpillar, all of a sudden now everybody has wings or whatever. I'm saying you could crash it wherever you want, whenever you want, and basically everybody that isn't affected goes, eh, and then they just go on with their life.
Well, that's the thing. Like, most of the people I'd want to crash a starship into, it's because they were, like...
Horrible? That's
so
why I would crash. I would Hitler.
Well,
in
that's
a
the
heartbeat,
thing, though. But it's like
and you see, everyone goes Hitler. So.
Everybody should go Hitler.
If you do it early enough to make a change, then that breaks your rule of it. Like, doesn't change history. And if you do it late enough to just be on principle, well, that just seems.
No, I would wait till he had like those videos of him and he's surrounded by like hundreds of thousands of his stormtroopers or whatnot. That's where I would do it. I would wait till they all got into their like song or whatever, and then he would give the signal, and then I'd be like, "What's up now, Crackerjack?" Boom.
Well, yeah, but then you've got to extrapolate. Like, how does that change everything about history? I need to think about this. I need textbooks.
Because you need to find that moment where he signs the Grail Diary for Dr. Jones, and that's when you crash it, because then you also get rid of the possibility of Crystal Skull. You take care of Hitler, and you take care of Crystal Skull.
I never watched that movie.
You're not missing much.
That's the thing, and it's like, and here's one of the like nerd things that like you're not supposed to say, but I don't have any specific Indiana Jones feelings at all. Anyway, I just don't. I had a roommate in college who would like watch it. She'd pick a movie and she'd watch it like, I'm not exaggerating, like 5 times a day, every day for a week.
Whoa.
So like, and then she like set a timer when she went to bed. She set the timer on the TV. So just at the point that you're like at the like third act escalating action and I'm in bed and I'm finally like, okay, so I'm just not going to sleep. I'm just going to see how this ends. The TV would turn off. Night after night. It made me so angry. So one week it was just the whole Indiana Jones trilogy over and over, and I would like always seem to come home at the same parts. Like I wasn't even in the room much, but I saw it nonstop somehow. And then after that, I was just like, nope, don't ever need that again. Same with the first and last times I saw Dirty Dancing. We're living with her, and I was like, bye forever. Love you, Jennifer Grey. You're awesome, but I can't ever. I don't want to see this ever again. I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist.
I never knew that Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey disliked each other so much during the filming of that movie.
Really?
Yeah. I get sucked into those stupid little like top 10 things of this and that or whatever else, and
You're the reason BuzzFeed
Have
exists,
you-
aren't you?
I am.
Have
I'm
you heard the
sorry.
one about on set of Breakfast Club? So apparently like the kids they were all like hanging out and buddy together, and like the guy who played the janitor and the guy who played the principal felt really excluded and didn't care for the set, but the guy who played the principal apparently just was not feeling these Brat Pack kids and went off on this whole, and this is apocryphal, it may not be legit, so I don't know if you're this guy, don't sue me, but apparently he went
If
off
you
on
are
this,
that guy, call me. I'd
Yeah.
love to sit down and talk with you.
love to have a conversation. Why don't we hear your response?
Yeah. Oh,
Exclusive
that would be
right here.
amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently he went off on this whole thing about how you guys aren't really committed to this craft, and Martin Sheen had a heart attack on the set of Apocalypse Now and kept going, not realizing who Emilio Estevez is and who his dad is, and Emilio Estevez was like, really, this is what you're gonna come at me with, and went off, because it's yeah, my father did have a heart attack, so that's not really for you to just use as a story to prove I don't work
Wow.
hard. Yeah, because Emilio Estevez uses his given name, so the guy just didn't know, because it's the 80s, no internet, and it went bad. That lecture did not play well. Yeah, I love that story, and I don't even know how true it is, but I want it to be real because it's awesome.
Well, we're just gonna find out if it is.
Yeah.
We'll
Is
call
that your
Emilio.
headcanon?
Well, no, I read it somewhere online forever ago,
Oh, okay.
but I'm keeping it. I
Well,
don't-
everything online's true, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. There's
They
nothing
have
false
fact checkers before anything posts on the internet.
Yeah.
They're very fast. They're
Yeah.
very fast.
Because
It's really
if
impressive.
it's wrong, the internet police will get them.
The internet police.
The internet police will get them. Haven't you been threatened with the internet police?
I haven't.
I have been threatened with the internet police a few times since the 90s.
But you're the blogging dude. You are Mr. Internet.
No, this is before I was blogging.
Oh, wow. Well, then you've ruffled
This was
some
just
feathers.
message forums and bulletin board systems and stuff like that.
Oh my Lanta. How can they find you guys? Where can they find you online? Plug your stuff. Go for it. Tell people where you're at, what you're doing.
I do a little of everything, so I always have to think and make sure I don't miss something. Okay, so every Wednesday I write Wednesday comics for Tony's blog, Geeking in Indiana. Thursdays I have an autobio comic that goes up at breerud.com, which is also breerud.tumblr.com if that's your preferred means of going for things. I every couple weeks, sometimes more, have posts on a website called panels.net where I also talk about comics, and I'm on Twitter as @OhNoBree, where I'll post all that stuff as it goes up. And seriously though, have you guys seen the video for Tevin Campbell's I'm Ready? It's pretty fun. Ooh, or Bobby Brown's On Our Own from Ghostbusters. Donald Trump's in that one. So that's what you get if you follow me on Twitter. Tony?
It's like she was going somewhere with this. I was just waiting
good
for
transition.
it.
No, I also really want you guys to watch that video. It's pretty great. The scans on it are really low quality, but it's a really good video. It's awful. Tony, where you be at?
Yeah. I'm Tony. I write for Geeking in Indiana at www.geekinginindiana.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Indiana Geeking, on Facebook at facebook.com/geekinginindiana. And pretty much if you just do a Google search for Indiana Geeking, you're going to find me.
You will.
Oh, yeah. Did we say podcast? Did you say podcast?
Podcast.
I spaced out.
No, we don't
podcast
talk
every
about
Friday.
podcasts at all. Thank you
No,
for coming.
no. Anyway, bye. La, 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 la. They don't talk anywhere but here.
No. Go for it. Yeah.
As I say, we do the Indiana Geeking podcast is every Friday. Pops up on the blog, geekinginindiana.com.
And we're always open to suggestions for what people would like to hear us talk about, so feel free to hit either of us up on Twitter and say, hey, what if you guys talked about this week? Because my ideas are always, I've got a comic book thing I'd like to talk about, and that's not what we're supposed to do every time.
It's a good show. I've listened to several episodes. It's very conversational. I like those types of podcasts where it's not interview, it's not rigid, it's not big corporate style. It's much more laid back, independent type of a feel. So, but it sounds good. And now you've got new equipment. You're going to be getting new cabling and microphones. You guys are going to be sounding like professionals.
But it's all still going to go into
Smooth
Audacity.
audio sound.
You know what? Mine goes into Audacity. That's okay. If you use what works, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, final question before we let you guys get back to your table and to your wandering around.
a
Social
renegade.
media, in your opinion, in the year 2016, which social media outlet is going to be non-existent? or on the very quick deathbed.
Hello.
Is anyone use it? Like, they keep sending the emails, and it makes me feel like so sad and guilty all the time. I got an LO account, and I haven't been on in like months because I went and I'm like, no one's here. Even the people who have them aren't here. Okay, bye.
Even Google Plus goes, that place is dead.
I think Google Plus is shutting down too.
I think there's actually the announcement that
good.
they're getting rid of Google Plus and just going to be dealing with the Hangouts.
Yep, which is a
Yeah.
good call.
Yeah.
But that's what Google does. They throw something out, then they find the bit that works. They keep that and get rid of the rest.
And that's a big reason why I like Google is they're not afraid to, just because they've invested X amount of dollars or time, they will say, nope, this isn't doing what we're supposed to be doing, and they'll scrap it in a heartbeat. They've done that several times. They did that with something else not too long ago, and it blew my mind why they would shut it down. Oh, it was their RSS reader. It was Google Reader, and I was like, why are you shutting this down?
It's like, I need this. I have a lot of things here.
Yeah,
I had
this
to, like,
was my catch-all.
I had to like Google for weeks to like find who I could port my stuff over to. It's like, but it was all right here.
InnoReader. I don't know if you guys use that or not. InnoReader is my favorite.
I was using Feedly, and then I stopped checking everything because I was busy checking Tumblr and Twitter all the time. I like that they'll ditch something. What I hate is that, like, first they'll do their best to make you use it. Like, you will love me. Google Plus is part of everything now. And I'm like, really? Because my Google Plus is connected to the email address that I don't give out to people.
Yeah. No, understandable. On the flip side, which one do you think is going to last the timeline, if you will? Even if a USS Enterprise smacks dab right on top of it, it's going to come out with the cockroaches. Is there one that if you just had to choose one, what would you choose?
You see, that's the problem between Facebook and Twitter. I don't think I can choose one.
I think it depends on like who you are and what you're doing. Because like, there's a lot of people who are big into Facebook. I almost never post anything other than like, here's this thing I made on Facebook, because there's like this pressure to be like, in 17 words, I'm going to define who I am as a person right now, or I'm going to make you click the read more button because I didn't know I could just start a blog for this giant rant. And so I don't really mess with Facebook much. For me, it's Twitter, and a lot of comics people are like on Twitter. So like when my comic tweets out, like from my Tumblr automatically, there's people that I know and follow, like we're mutuals on Tumblr, but I know they come straight through from Twitter. So like, yeah, like that's the place to go for comics people. And I like Tumblr a lot. Tony's not a big Tumblr person, but there's, again, a lot of art people
It makes sense.
on Tumblr.
It's the visuals.
Yeah,
Makes
it's
sense.
like, well, and it's good for resharing. And at this point, there's a good chunk of people who are like up and coming who started off on Tumblr. Like Noelle Stevenson and Kate Leth were like Tumblr people to start with.
Fair enough. I guess if you want to know more, you should listen into their podcast, but also listen into their panel that they're going to have. You were getting ready to say something, Tony. Go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, I think Twitter is going to be the one that really sticks around, because from a promotional standpoint, it's easy to get your word out. From a conversational standpoint, it is very easy to connect with creators whose work you admire, because a lot of times those creators want to connect with their fans. John Kovalik is a great example. I've always loved his work on Dork Tower and the work he's done for Munchkin, the games he's helped develop. I had a chance, I've interacted with him quite a few times on Twitter, and highlight of Gen Con a few years ago was having a chance to meet him, buy his game directly from him, have him sign it, and take a selfie with him that he has since reposted quite a few times. But also just in terms of events happening, there was an earthquake in California this morning. Where did Californians go to get the news? Not through the local news stations. They went to Twitter. Because they're following the geographic service out there, and they immediately put the word up, and everyone else is going, no, that wasn't a truck, that was the earth.
Retweet,
Yeah.
retweet. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, guys.
Thanks for having
not a
us.
problem, bud.
I'm sorry Tony couldn't be here. My Tony, not your
I was
Tony.
gonna say,
Find them online and everywhere else. If you're out and about at Indie PopCon, swing by. I'm sure both of them will be walking around. That's the next convention coming up. And then Gen Con is after that, and all kinds of other conventions. You can absolutely find out more information about different conventions that are coming up through our website at geekstuffoffthecuff.com, or you can definitely check out geekingindiana.com. Tony does a really, really good job about finding all the cons and that was a ghost that just flew by and
Right? I
freaked
was like-
out Bree.
I was like, is that in the genie back there? Are we about to get eaten by
That was
a
Tony.
basilisk?
That was my Tony. He flew by real quick. He's like, you can't do this without me. You can't do this without me. Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Hey, sure
All
thing,
right,
man.
thank you.
Boom.